This summer has truly felt like being awake during surgery, between the bonkers weather, the heat, the usual political junk, and now all sorts of outbreaks are making it really hard to know if we're allowed to eat food, or if we need to start learning how to photosynthesize. Literally the minute that I heard about the cyclospora outbreak, I was like, oh, I bet it's that bastard Taylor Farms again. And then, well, guess what? It is so cruel for this to happen during peak summer produce season, but at least the local farmers market has my back. They always do. I salute our troops, and by our troops, I mean local small farms and community gardens. Anyway, amidst all this, my wife has been doing research for a book that she's writing, for which she had to read the ever-hilarious Malleus Maleficarum, the infamous witch-hunting manual published in the 15th century on the immediate heels of the birth of book printing. The Malleus Maleficarum, although critiqued in its own time and written by a well-known hack, directly led to a great deal of witch-hunting and fear and paranoia that evil spirits and devils were lurking within the mundane. And in the book, they repeat a story that, and I am so serious, made my wife and I freak the fuck out because of how relevant and funny it is. In the section titled, "Do Witches Employ Illusion to Trick People into Thinking That Men's Penises Have Been Entirely Uprooted from Their Bodies?" Yes, I know. Let's sit with that for a second. Okay, they reference a tale regaled by Pope Gregory I, reading, "An evil spirit puts on a body and shows himself as something he is not," as, for example, in St. Gregory's story in his first dialogue about a nun who ate a lettuce, which, as the evil spirit himself confessed, was not a lettuce, but an evil spirit in the form of a lettuce, or the spirit was on the lettuce itself. What? An evil spirit on a lettuce? Well, that certainly does sound familiar, doesn't it? What with our conundrum now of nefarious little beasties, microscopic parasites, getting on our lettuces and also other crops and giving people explosive diarrhea. Obviously, I had to know more. Come learn with me. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, Quince. I have spent years trying to slowly work more natural fibers into my wardrobe, both for comfort and sustainability reasons, and linen is by far my favorite fiber to wear. Some of my most beloved pieces in my closet for my spring through fall wardrobe are from Quince. Quince makes elevated clothing, bedding, and cookware made directly in ethical factories with no middleman, getting you quality products without the markup. Genuinely, it's hard to find clothes of this quality for as good of prices. I have their linen shorts and relaxed pants, which are both perfect for both lounging or being out and about. The pants have an elastic waist, but also belt loops, so they can be dressed up or down. I also have a few beautiful shirts from them, like the linen short sleeve shirt or this knit sleeveless top, which are both super versatile and can be layered in a number of ways, or this gorgeous wine red silk blouse, which is so whimsical and witchy. I love it so much, and I can't wait to incorporate it into so many fall outfits. All of the clothes are breezy, comfortable, well-fitting, and so cute. I find myself frequently reaching for them out of most things in my closet, honestly. Especially in all of these heat waves we've been having, I'm extremely heat sensitive, so having nice natural fiber garments helps me cope a lot better. I know a lot of you can feel the same way. You can upgrade your everyday by heading to quince.com/Kaz for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. They're also now available in Canada too. That's quince.com/KAZ for free shipping and 365-day returns. Thank you so much to Quince for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to learning about the accursed lettuces. So between the years 593 and 594, Gregory the Great wrote the Dialogues, a collection of musings on the ideal of the church, paired with conversations about various stories about holy men and how they dealt with spiritual crises, including a number of miracle tales. One theme that pops up a lot in the Dialogues is the garden, or garden plants, and things that go down in the garden, which is, you know, definitely allegorical to the Garden of Eden, and how a church leader can be seen as a gardener tending spiritually to the garden of their congregations. Helpfully, all monasteries and abbeys did keep gardens, so they were very central locations of monastic life. In his first dialogue in chapter 4, Gregory details the various godly adventures of an abbot named Equitius of Valeria. Equitius apparently spent his younger years enduring, quote, carnal temptations, as one does, until an angel came to him in a dream and made him a eunuch, which definitely happened. One day, Equitius comes to visit a certain convent that's having all sorts of problems. There's a slutty little guy named Basilius hanging out there, pretending to be a monk, and Equitius is like, hey guys, I think that dude is a devil and not a monk. And the bishop is like, yeah, you would say that, wouldn't you? A hammer thinks everything looks like a nail, huh? So Equitius decides to ignore the whole thing until at some point, a nun comes down in fits of agony and begs to be visited by Basilius. Equitius is like, come on guys, what did I say? I told you guys that guy was a devil. So they tell Basilius to get out of there, and the nun goes back to normal. But that was not the end of devils or nuns having fits of agony. Gregory writes, one day a nun of this same convent, on entering the garden, found some lettuce there which appealed to her taste. Forgetting to first make the sign of the cross, she began to eat of it greedily. Immediately the devil threw her to the ground in a fit of pain. The other nuns, seeing her in agony, quickly sent word to Abbot Equitius to come with all speed and help them with his prayers. As soon as the holy man entered the garden, the devil, using the nun's voice, began to defend himself. What have I done? I haven't done anything. I was sitting here on the lettuce when she came and ate me. Full of indignation, the man of God commanded him to depart and vacate the place he held in this handmaid of the Almighty God. The devil did so at once, and after that could not exercise his powers over her. I'm sorry, man, but I think I'm on the devil's side here. He was just sitting there on the lettuce, minding his own business, and then the nun just came and eated the lettuce, and the devil without thinking. Not his fault he got eated. Well, I think it's fairly obvious that this was not a literal story, but rather more allegorical, as many of these stories were. Equitius triumphs over the devil in a monastic sacred garden, using his holy powers, teaching a lesson to the nuns about greed and thoughtlessness, as well as what happens when you don't take your holy duties and practices seriously. Equitius was actually a real guy, and as a traveling preacher, he was sort of a perfect subject to play the hero in this tale. And the way he performs miracles is in a potently simple way, simply by praying and having faith in God's powers, serving as more of an accessible example of behavior for the monks and nuns. He doesn't do anything over the top or spectacular, but rather emphasizes humility and earthliness, a common theme for early medieval Christians. And similarly, the devil isn't lurking in necessarily anything audacious or genuinely commonly thought of as tempting, but rather something as humble as a simple head of lettuce. Barbara Mueller observes in her magnificently named paper, The Diabolical Power of Lettuce, or Garden Miracles in Gregory the Great's Dialogues. In general, in the dialogues, the garden is not a place of leisure, but a place of work and education. Gardening in the dialogues is literally a down-to-earth pedagogy, sometimes by means of miracles. If a person is too stubborn, ordinary pastoral guidance won't be sufficient, and harder lessons must be learned. If you can't even resist the temptation of a lush lettuce, you may find yourself struggling with a demon. Well, lettuce wasn't the only accursed and witchly produce of the Middle Ages. They had an interesting theological relationship with food and herbs, and which ones may have connections to witchcraft. Certain foods were believed, often symbolically, to cause magical transformations, for example. Of course, foods such as figs, apples, and peaches were associated with causing infatuation or desire. Funnily enough, lettuce appears again in the grim fairy tale, The Lettuce Donkey, which obviously was recorded from much earlier folktales. In the tale, the protagonist comes upon two lettuces. One turns you into a donkey, and the other turns that donkey back into a human. In many of these magical stories, the ingestion of magical meat and blood is usually beneficial beneficial in some way and gives the eater strength or power. But conversely, the ingestion of magical plant foods is often associated with trickery or something devious, or otherwise incurs a punishment of sorts upon the misbehaving, usually women, who ate the produce, like in the story of Rapunzel, where the mother ravenously craves a leafy green root plant called Rapunzel or rampion from the garden of a neighboring sorceress. In earlier versions of the story, the plant was sometimes parsley. The salad she eats from the stolen Rapunzel is so tasty that she makes her husband go steal more, but he's caught by the sorceress. The trade is that in exchange for the seemingly magical salad greens, the sorceress will take the mother's newborn daughter, who ends up growing supernaturally long, strong, beautiful hair, and has tears that can cure her prince's blindness. These stories, as well as the story of the nun and the devil's lettuce, all turn out to be cautionary tales about gluttony, temptation, and greed. Funnily enough, greed is also the main driver behind our demonic lettuce of today. In their quest to reap as many profits as possible, big farms such as Taylor Farms butcher working conditions for their field workers, ignore contaminated irrigation water, and pay off institutions or the government to let them continue doing so over and over again without recourse. Taylor Farms is not the only villain here. They are a persistent problem, though, and made worse by the fact that they supply lettuce and other produce to a wide variety of distributors and restaurants. It's not just Taco Bell. It's a huge number of white-labeled bagged lettuce brands, it's other restaurant chains, it's hospitals, it's distributors, and more. Profit, greed, and carelessness puts devils in the gardens that feed most of us. And while I can go get produce from the farmer's market instead because I have the means and I live in a big city, not everyone has access like that. Many people have no other choice and suffer the most for it. Deregulation does nothing but make us sicker. And no faithful traveling abbot can fix that with only a prayer and a stern look. Thank you for learning with me about a nun, an abbot, a devil, and some lettuce. I hope you found it as amusing as we did. This video is much shorter than usual, and the next one will be too, because I'm seriously in the trenches with wedding planning stuff. It's rough, man. I'm so tired. I'm also trying to record stuff for a vlog, but the problem is I always forget to actually record things, so I don't even know how I'm gonna make it a cohesive video. Anyways, don't forget to grab a copy of my graphic novel, Liberated: The Radical Art and Life of Claude Gahan, and until next time, wash thy hands, wear thy mask, and bless thy lettuces.